Yeah, of course there was terror there. I was going to be leading a major film. So yeah, naturally I was scared. But I mean, the fact that he wanted me to be a part of this says a lot about his belief in me. So, you know, and again, how can I say no to him? It was such an amazing idea in terms of the sequel. And then also the opportunity to work with my family again. There's no way I was going to say no to that. Hello. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I'm really honored and just so humbled to be here with all of you.
Congratulations, first of all, on your nomination. I wanted to ask you where you were when you found out and how it feels to be an E Rising Star nominee.
So when I found out about this, that I was being nominated for such an award, I was so overwhelmed and I was nervous. But I did my research on what the award actually was and what it meant. And that's when I found out what a big deal this is. And then I saw who the other nominees were. And they're so skilled and such brilliant actors. To be considered on the same level as all of them, it's just been incredible. And at the time that I found out, I was at home in my office, and my publicist called me and said, Millicent, you need to sit down. You're being nominated for this award. And I really did need to sit down for it.
So when you read A Quiet Place, the script for the first time, it is a horror film, but unconventional in so many ways. What were your first thoughts when you read the script?
Well, my first thought when I read the script was this was a kind of story that is really different from what we've seen before. So usually when deaf characters are spotlit, you don't see them as the hero of the story. So when I read it, I knew I needed to be a part of this. And I also really liked the horror aspect. And to be able to work with John, I mean, how could I possibly say no to him?
It must have been really interesting to work with a director that's also an actor as well. What elements did he bring to that for you?
Well, I think it actually helped our connection and made it much easier because he knows what it's like to be an actor. And in that way, we could really connect on the same level. We did a lot of sort of playing around on the set in terms of exploring the characters and really diving deep. So he didn't just participate as a director giving orders, right? It's much more fun, much more collaborative.
The one thing that the film hinges on in the first film is the unity of the family and the believability that this is an authentic, real family unit. And I'm wondering how you worked with the cast to build that together. Were there any fun family bonding exercises that you did together?
Yes. Yes. So in the first movie, Noah and I were welcome to go to John's home. We had burgers and, you know, hung out with their daughter. They were so sweet. It was a really tender moment for all of us. And I think that really helped us to bond.
So when John reached out to you about the second film, and he proposed the idea of a lot of it being centered around your character, were you filled with excitement or were you filled with a slight bit of terror?
Yeah, of course there was terror there. I was going to be leading a major film. So yeah, naturally I was scared. But I mean, the fact that he wanted me to be a part of this says a lot about his belief in me. So, you know, and again, how can I say no to him? It was such an amazing idea in terms of the sequel. And then also the opportunity to work with my family again. There's no way I was going to say no to that.
Something I've always been curious about, and obviously you've got these large monsters coming at you, but obviously all created in visual effects afterwards. How do you kind of, you know, stay in character, have that terror, you know, what is it that's dangled in front of you?
Yeah, that was definitely difficult to feel that scared on set. but we had a cardboard cutout of monsters, so we knew where the placements were, and that kind of gave us an idea of what they were going to look like in those particular moments. But again, in working with the other actors, we really fed off of each other. And being in that situation, in that room, and making it feel a bit scarier, they made it dark. There were little things that we did that really helped us along.
I'm hoping that most people now had obviously a chance to see this film. It has been released for some time, so I can imagine that when you were first talking about it, you were scared of the spoilers. But now, do you think the way that it ended, there is the possibility, opportunity for another film? Is that on the cards? I know that a lot of people at home would be wanting to see that.
Yeah, I think we all want a third. I think we want to see, I think a lot of people want to see more about this family. I think this is a really special family unit. And obviously we want to see them survive at the end of the day. We want to see them save the world. I do too. I want to see that as well.
And I know that you've only been working for kind of just a few years and you're kind of new to the world of kind of filmmaking, but do you have aspirations to work behind the camera, for instance? Do you want to write, direct, maybe produce?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. I'm currently developing a TV series, which I'm also a producer on, and I've been learning a lot about behind the camera work. And seeing how things come together behind the camera, and how hard and how long these projects really take. Much more of a time investment than I thought, but it's also really exciting, and I'm super motivated. So yeah, and one day I would love to do more behind the camera. Fingers crossed.
For sure. Just going back to Regan and your character, she is fearless and such a role model. And do you sometimes think, in your everyday life, what would Regan do in this situation?
Oh my gosh, all the time. Because I'm quite shy. I'm a very laid back kind of person. But yeah, I do sometimes think about her when I need to put myself out of my comfort zone and demand things that I need. And obviously, and to help others as well. And it's not just me. I think a lot of people can learn from Regan.
Definitely. You have become a role model, and rightly so, for actors coming up now, for the deaf community. What does it mean to you to be a role model? And did you have any role models when you were growing up?
Yeah, oh my God, to be in this position as a role model, because I didn't have deaf role models when I was growing up. And when I was growing up, I really looked up to my mother and my father and Malala. I had read her book, and it really touched me. I'm, so grateful to have an education and to continue learning. But yeah, to be a role model for other children really makes me want to do the best that I can. And I also want to show, I'm not a perfect human, and that it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to make mistakes and learn from them.
What's the best piece of advice a director has given you?
Oh my God. To not be too shy or too afraid to share your ideas and make proposals. That it's really a collaborative experience, and you should be able to express your own experience and not be afraid to say something, because you could affect changes for the better.
And then someone's asking about kind of films and your household. Is there a film that unites your household?
Well, we really love Spirited Away. It's my favorite movie when I was growing up. So I think, I gave that to my younger sister, so she just saw it. And I'm excited to be able to share, those kinds of moments with her. With them.
If you could play any of your fellow rising stars nominated roles, which one would you choose and why? I should remind the viewers at home who those other nominees are as well. So that's Ariana DeBose from West Side Story, Harris Dickinson from Kingsman, Lashana Lynch from No Time to Die, and Cody Smith-McPhee from The Power of the Dog.
So I would love to do a James Bond. I mean, that's a classic, isn't it? I mean, I don't know that you can beat that.
Have you ever let a spoiler slip and ruined a film for someone?
Oh my God. I think I'm actually really good on that front. I've not given any spoilers. Yeah, nobody's been able to get any spoilers out of me, and
Yeah.
I'm very proud to say that.
It must have been very, very difficult with The Quiet Place too. Very difficult indeed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So many people are like, tell me what happens next. It was hard, but I did it. I'm trustworthy.
Where and with who is your favorite way to enjoy a film?
Well, I'm going to go with my brother, and definitely at home, sitting on the sofa, sharing popcorn. My brother and I have very similar taste in movies, so it's really easy for us to enjoy them simultaneously.